Okay, so today we're gonna looking at the 3D meshing. Okay, so already in our previous session we have seen about the theory of 3D. Okay, so what are the features are available in Ansys Workbench to create a 3D mesh, and how to create a 3D mesh. Basically we have a different varieties of elements in 3D, right? Like Tetra Meshing and pyramid element, brick element, that is hex element. We have already seen that, but basically we can divide the methods to create a mesh according to the Tetra mesh. Okay, so first we are looking for a Tetra mesh. Tet mesh. So I have divided this part into two sessions. Like today's session is we are discussing about the Tetra mesh, how to create a Tetra mesh in Ansys Workbench, and in tomorrow itself we have seen that how to create a hex mesh in Ansys Workbench. Okay, for creating a Tetra mesh, we have two different methods. So what is that methods? Okay, so the first method is patch conforming method. So the first one is patch conforming and the second one is patch independent. Both methods are having a different purpose, so I will explain one by one. Okay, let's see about patch conforming method. So or else you can say it as a top-down approach, and a patch independent method is a bottom-down approach. Okay, so this is my component. So when I have a component like this, it's a simple cube, right? When I try to mesh this model, what happened here is either we have two different possibilities. So my motive is I need to discretize this 3D model by using Tetra Meshing. So we have two different configuration. Either I can create a 2D mesh all over the faces, and I start to extruding the faces in any of the direction. Like if I try to mesh this faces like a quad mesh while creating in this face, and I can try to extrude this whole faces in this direction, so I will get a brick mesh. Okay, but if it is a Tetra mesh, I can create a triangle all over the triangular mesh all over the faces, and I will try to create a Tetra mesh, like creating a perpendicular node and connect all the remaining 4 edges. Okay, 4 points. That is one possibilities from the faces. Faces and edges, from the faces and edges I can create a mesh. Or else what is that second possibilities, what happened in patch independent method? So it will create a mesh from the volume itself. First it will try to mesh the volume, and after that it projects the remaining mesh in the remaining faces. It is little bit confusing while I'm telling the theory, so it will be more easy to understand when I go for software. Okay, first for a better understanding, just know about the patch conforming method is only the mesh is started from the faces and edges and then go for the volume itself. Okay, and patch independent method is completely depend upon the volume. So or else you can say it as a volume method. This method is a volume method. The mesh is only started from the volume and then it came out for the faces and edges. It can reflected or replicated on the faces and edges. Okay, you will get a proper mesh in patch independent method. You will get a proper mesh in volume itself, but in patch conforming method you will get a proper mesh on the faces, edges, like that, on the outer surfaces of the component. Okay, what is that advantage in patch conforming method rather than a patch independent method? Okay, so when I see the patch conforming method, my mesh is only started from the faces and edges, so it can obey all the feature lines. So suppose if I have a feature line in this here itself, like a spline, or else in the top face I have a 3 edges like this, somewhat features. Probably my software I have divided these edges into a 3 segments like this, from here, and here. So ideally I have a 2 segments, 1 and 2 and 3 points. While creating a mesh, it will be created like this, a mesh. So it actually obeys my feature line, okay. But when I use the patch conforming method, because the mesh is started from the surfaces, when I go to patch independent method, it probably it can misses these edges and may create a mesh like this. Why? Because the mesh is actually started from the volume, and slow by slow it reflected on the faces, okay. So that is why it can misses some of the features over the faces in our component, okay. If your features is more important, you can go for patch conforming method. If your volume is more important, you can go for patch independent method, okay. So that is the 2 methods widely used in while creating a tetra meshes. So almost 70% we only uses the tetra meshes, okay. So only our remaining 30 to 20% we go for hex mesh creation. So a hex mesh creation is a super complicated method. So we will see how to create a hex meshing in Ansys Workbench in our tomorrow sessions, okay. Okay, yep. It's far enough for a theory session about tetra meshing. So we will go for software itself. What I will do here is I just drag and drop a mesh environment. So I don't want any analysis setup itself. I just simply import a model, right click, import geometry, browse, an IGS file, whatever the geometry you can install. So in our Google Classroom itself, under the topic of 3D meshing, you will get a lot of models. Starting my meshing environment. Okay, now my model is imported, so you don't need to assign any materials or whatever it is, because it's a standalone system that contains only meshing, I mean geometry and meshing data itself. We don't need to give any data itself. So here we have a mesh. So when you try to generate mesh, it obviously create a mesh. So we don't give any mesh data itself. Software will decide whether it can create a hex mesh or tet mesh, whatever it is. Now it creates a tet mesh. So already I said before, almost 90% itself for a irregular geometry, unless or until it's a regular geometry having a regular shape without it has any disturbance, it can create a tet mesh, I mean hex mesh. But 90% of the cases, our geometry will have a lot of features like fillets, chamfers, holes, all the features. It always creates a tet mesh. Okay, let's see one by one these options. Already we have discussed about so many methods in our 2D sessions, and in our 3D session we will explain what is this display style and physical preference and element order one by one, okay. So I will start from the display style. So right now it uses a using geometry settings. What does it actually means? It's just a layout. For example, so when I switch over to this, you will get a lot of options like element quality, aspect ratio, and then Jacobian, warping factor, parallel deviation, maximum, corner angle, and skewness. Probably you know this term, not all the terms, but you know few of them, like what is it, element quality, aspect ratio we have already seen in our theory session, and you know the Jacobian factors. These are all the different calculation methods to calculate a Jacobian, but ideally it all same. Either you can use this method or this method or this method. It depends upon the analysis. So we will see how can I choose the Jacobian method and when to use this method in our analysis part. Still now we are in the meshing part. whatever the topics which is related to our today's topic, that only seen in our today's session. The remaining options will be covered in our future sessions. Okay. And warping angle, you know that. So if you want to looking for that factors, you can shift over to that. So I want to look at for the element quality. I shift over to element quality. Now it shows the quality of my element. You can grade up or grade down by looking on its color. So whenever you get a red color, obviously you have a poor quality of element, so you need to remesh the model. Always you need to create a blue color, but in all cases it is not possible unless or until if you have a very fine mesh. Okay. But also you should be very always be on you need to create a less number of nodes and less number of elements. Then only your problem will get solve very easily. Otherwise it will takes a lot of time, 3 to 4 hours to solve a particular problem. Okay. This is just a display layout, like you can shift over to any values like aspect ratio. It shows the maximum and minimum values. So we will see about this in our upcoming sessions. So for now, just know that it's a display style. Okay, so our real meshing options will start from this values, like what is it, physical preference. So still now it's a structural analysis. I can choose for mechanical. If it is a CFD, you can go for CFD and explicit and hydrodynamics and electromagnetic. It's not, if you switch over to CFD, some options will be shown and some options will be disabled. It's depend upon the analysis. If you are taking Ansys Fluent, probably we have to shift over to CFD. Always some options will be additionally added to this, which is related to CFD options. In mechanical itself, some options may included or may not included in this option. So that is the difference. Like in hypermesh, when we choose some certain card images, we get some options. If you choose for another one, we will get a different options. Like also depend upon your user interfaces, your entities will be changes, like mechanical and CFD and electromagnetic. Since we don't see about any analysis, when we go for analysis part, we will clearly explain what is that linear analysis, what is that non-linear analysis, like that stuff. Okay, so if you are doing a non-linear analysis, you will have an option called a non-linear mechanical also. So still now it is a linear analysis, I choose a mechanical one. And element order, you guys are already know whether you have a two different configuration, that is first order element and second order element, or else linear or quad. Whatever it is, you can choose this from here itself. And so I will leave to this, or else you can choose a linear element, that is obviously I need a first order element. And element size, in our past session we have a two different environment, right? Global one and local one. You can control the size of the element in global itself or local itself. But if you are including any local control methods that obeys the thing, so whatever the entities you provided, that the software will first execute that values and then it came for this values, like global settings. Okay, you can give the any values. Right now I give a value of 5. And sizing, that we don't much see about the sizing option. I will try to explain one by one. Okay, so what is that adaptive sizing means? So if you are using a older version, probably you get a lot of options over here. So when you switch over this button, you will get proximity and curvature and uniform, like that option. But this graphics user interface changes that feature. So only you have two different options, like either you want to turn off or turn on adaptive sizing. Right now I using no, that means I want to turn off the adaptive sizing factor. So when I turn off, you will get an options like capture curvature and capture proximity. So when you turn on, you will get an options like this. First I will use adaptive sizing is yes. And what is it resolution means? Resolutions have a factors like this. So it's a scale like factor. We'll start from okay, it's like a value starting from 0 to 100 minus 100. It's like a coarse fine medium. Like if it is in a 0 position, it will create a medium size of mesh. Okay, if it is in 100, it will create a coarse mesh. If it is in minus 100, it will create a mesh. Or in vice versa. Maybe sometimes if you are giving a if you decrease the value, probably the size will be increased, and if the sizes increases, it will be decreases. It's up to the GUI. You have to manually try it yourself, so how it actually works. So that is the resolution factor. So if you increase the factor, your mesh will get increases or decreases, right? And also you have an options over here, that is mesh defeaturing. What does it means, mesh defeaturing? You have some features over here like fillets over here, and in sometimes you have a chamfers features like holes. These are all features. So due to these features, your mesh will get some disturbance, or you will get a poor mesh over the features. So when I try to remesh this model, generate mesh, okay, we get some error over there. So I will turn off it and say generate mesh. Okay, so I get a mesh. So right now I turn off the defeaturing option and change the factor to 5. Okay, so what happened here is software will try to create a mesh according to my sizes, that is a 5 mm. So when I say so here we don't have enough number of nodes and elements. Resolution, okay, all the factors are fine. Right click and say generate mesh. One or more entities is failed to mesh. Okay, so why it is actually failed to mesh is yep, I don't think whether you see or not. See, you will notice that there is a phase over here. So when I select a phase selector, if I select here, you will have a phase like this. It's a very small entities of a region, so it is not possible to create a mesh over like 5 mm at the size of 5 mm. So if I furtherly reduces the size at 1 mm, what happened here? So again I try to remesh it, right click and say generate mesh. So our element size is very small. It takes a lot of time, I mean some time. Okay, so now it is actually created a mesh. So due to the sizing of the mesh, it is actually not created. So some of the edges and features cannot be captured by that element sizing. Right now it is actually meshed, these elements. So but it is not a good approach to mesh this model to be like this method. So when I go to the statistics, see how much nodes, it's around 1,10,637 nodes. Obviously it takes a lot of time to solve. For a particular single component you're meshing too fine, it's not suitable for your model. Okay, and sometimes you will get an error like that. So meshing is not possible due to some OM edges or some features. When I tell that there is an option to defeature, like mesh defeature, so when you enable this option, what happened here is it will defeature some of the features like fillets and chamfers, and also it neglects this faces. It can merge these two faces into a single one. Okay, whatever the features which is disturbing for your mesh, it actually deletes that feature. That is called defeaturing. You don't need to defeature that model in 2D editing or 3D geometry editing itself. In mesh itself we have a separate feature to defeature a holes or patch holes or remove the fillets, like that. Okay, for that we need to provide some tolerance range. Okay, so first what I will do here is I just remove the meshes, clear the data. So all the data is actually clear. So still now I don't use any methods at all, so I just only use a global method. So how should I access that patch conforming and patch independent method in Tetra Meshing? So if you don't give any method itself, software might create a hex mesh or tet mesh. So this is a irregular geometry, so that is why software has decided to create a tet mesh. So up to now I don't say okay I need a Tetra mesh. You have to choose a patch independent or patch conforming method. Okay, so how can I actually tell to the software? Just click on the mesh and right click and insert. You will get a lot of options, but I need method. There is no options like that. File, right click, insert. So you have an option called method. So these options we have so far seen in our past session. Already you guys all know about that. So in automatic method we only it is only selected by a body, the whole body. You can't select any phases itself. So by default it only select a body. So my whole body is selected and click on apply. Yep. And then in method right now it is set it to automatic, and you know that what is the element order. So if it is you can choose from here itself, or else you can change from the global setting. I will shift over to the method. So when I toggle this button, you will get a lot of options like tetrahedrals, I mean tet mesh, and then hex dominant, that is hex mesh, sweep method, that is also hex mesh, and multi-zone. So these three options like hex dominant and sweep and multi-zone, which are related to a 3D mesh of hex mesh. The 3D hex mesh has a 3 different varieties. In our tomorrow session we will cover these 3 options, but we are not going to cover this Cartesian and layered tetrahedral. This is a new options which is included in Ansys 2020. Probably if you are using a older version, you will get a 4 options like this. Okay, so now when we go for analysis, when we need this option, we will definitely use that in our upcoming sessions. Yep. For that now I will choose tetrahedral because I need a tet mesh. And when I shift over to the tetrahedral, now the you will get an additional option called algorithm. Already I have set this algorithm like patch conforming and patch independent. We have 2 different methods. If it is set to patch conforming, the mesh is started from the outer faces and edges, and it slowly propagated from the faces to the volume. Okay, when I shift over to patch conforming to patch independent, the mesh is started from the volume and slowly it propagated to the outer faces and edges. Good. And right now I set it to patch conforming. You don't get any options in the method itself. All the options or inputs which you need to give to this object, you go for the global setting. Okay, you can only provide all the options here itself. But if I change it to patch conforming to patch independent, all the options you provided which is only in the local settings. You don't go for global setting for the value assigning the values. So all the options you need to give the here itself only. So that is the main difference between the patch conforming and patch independent. But first we will see about that patch conforming. But most of the options are similar to each other. The only thing is it start from the phases, it start from the volume. So that is the only thing. And also the assigning of the method is you can give from here itself, but you have to go for the global setting. So that is this mesh. And we'll actually explain this element sizing factors and adaptive resolution itself also. And when I try to mesh, generate mesh.
Sir, which one is better, patch conforming or patch independent?
Yeah, patch independent is it's depend upon the case, Manoj. Like
Okay.
for example, if my analysis is only take place inside the volume, so I can go for patch independent method. But if my analysis only take place on the outer surfaces like faces, edges, so I can go for patch conforming.
Okay.
But you will get a good mesh in patch independent in terms of volume. Like if you are meshing a solids, patch independent is more suitable.
Okay.
Solid itself. Like so what are the other features? So right now due to some features our mesh is failed. So what I will do here is I want to defeature the features like fillets and chamfers and holes. Not holes, I need these holes. I will turn on the options like mesh defeature to yes. You will get some additional options over here. Defeaturing tolerance. So I'll include some values like 3. So you will notice that whatever the features which comes under the 3, like if you have a fillets which is comes under radius of 1 mm or 2 mm, 3 mm. So under the 3 mm, so it will be deleted. So we will try this. It's an iterative process. You have to increase or decreases depend upon your usages. Right now I give a value of 3 and say generate mesh. Hope it will create, but probably okay. So actually defeatures, have you noticed that we have a filleted over the before meshing, but right now we don't see any defeatures, fillets over here. It actually removes that. And also we have a phases over here, right? So that is also deleted here. But due to some reasons mesh is not created over there. So either we need to reduce the size to 5 mm to 3 mm and right click and say generate mesh. Probably it may creates or not created. Okay, so it actually create a mesh, but also it defeatures the geometry also, this fillets, and we have a sharp corners over here, sharp edges like original features, and this phases, all the entities, all the features which is disturbing the meshes are defeatured. So it's up to you or up to the analysis whether you need to defeature the options or use the options or not. It's up to you. And you will have an option called a transition. So right now it's set to slow. What does it means, transition? Okay, suppose you have an element like this. Initially you said that I need an element size of 3 mm, right? Software will also always try to create a 3 mm, but it doesn't create all the element in 3 sides, 3 mm itself, because in some corners, edges, your geometry will be having a very minimum value of elements to capture the features. So it can start from 0.5 mm up to it can create a 4 mm or 5 mm sometimes sizes, the maximum element size. So when it shift over to this sizes like 0.5 to 5 mm, there is a gap, a huge gap between that, right? So 0.5 to 5 mm, it cannot create it like this, so it creates a 0.5 mm, and also in the adjacent side it doesn't create a 5 mm or a 6 mm element. Okay, so it needs a transition like from small element to slightly bigger and slightly bigger and slightly bigger. How much the transition should happen, whether it is a slow transition or a rapid transition or a medium transition. Either you can define the transition ratio by a factor, or else you can say that medium, slow, or else rapid. Rapid means if you have a small element in the adjacent side, it will create an element like this. So this is not recommended. Slow or medium you can perform, like whenever you have a fine elements near the hole and far away from the hole, it having a larger size of elements. So that is all about the transition. Okay, span angle center, right now it's set to medium. So span angle center means whenever I have a curvature like this, in the curved regions it will creates a triangular element like this. So if the element size is too large, what happened here is it created like this, two elements. Over here, software always try to figure out the center point of this curve. So this is the center point of this curve. So this is my starting point and this is my end point. I mean the two nodes which is actually touches the curvature. When I try to mesh this, I mean measure the angle, so this is called alpha. This alpha is called span angle. Okay, right now it is around 30 to 45 degree. It depends upon, so suppose if you have a larger element over here, the angle may be 45 degree. What happen if you try to decrease the span angle? Okay, so from 45 degree to 30 degree, and furtherly if you reduce this to 30 to 15 degree, so it will, the angle will be decreases. It always try to create a mesh like this. So when you reduce the angle furtherly 15 degree, 10 degree, it will create some more number of elements over the curvature. It captures the curvature maximum. Okay, so like this. So 90 is the maximum angle. If I try to measure from its point, 90 is the maximum. So here you will get a lot of gaps. If I try to reduce that angle 90 to 45, 45 to 30 and 15, probably it may create like this meshes. Okay, so that is all about span angle. Either you can give the span angle directly, or else you can set the span angle to medium and fine or coarse. So you will get three varieties. Yep, right now it's set to medium. So if you want to change to coarse, it will create a coarse angle, that is maximum angle. If I say fine, it will create a proper mesh over the surfaces, I mean curvatures. Right now defeaturing is turned on, so if I turn off it, it's set to span angle is fine, transition ratio is slow, not slow, I need fast transition, and what is that initial seeding size? This is for assembly, so when we came for assembly we will definitely see all these options, and also this options also, that bounding box diagonals, it will be only seen by an analysis. So when we came for analysis we will definitely see about this four options. Right now I set to this two options, like transition is fast and then span angle is fine, and right click and say generate mesh. So you will notice that it will create it actually try to capture the features. Why? Because I give the span angle is fine, so that is why it actually captures. So if I try to say I need a course, what happened here? Generate mesh. So it is not actually capturing this curve, right? You can see there is no there is a huge difference between that. There is no proper capture. But if I say course to fine, it will create a fine mesh over there. And also the transition is too fast. Generate mesh. So the transition is too fast. So when I reduce that to slow, what happened? Okay. So now the transition ratio will be reduced, but not too much. So these options are actually captured. Okay. We have seen about the basic options which are in the sizing factors. If I say I don't want adaptive sizing, so I'll say no, S2 no. You will get an additional options like growth rate and maximum sizing of the element. What is that growth rate means? So the growth rate is directly related to the transition ratio. So I have previously we get an option called transition, that is from a smaller element to bigger element, how it actually transmit, like faster or slower or medium. But here you will get a growth rate. So right now it is set to 1.85. It is which is similar to a faster transition. If I reduce that to reduce the value, the transition will be lesser. The growth rate means nothing. So smaller element to how it actually bigger, the growth rate will be. Okay. If I say 1, okay, so if I say 1, so there won't be any growth rate. So if you have a smaller element, the adjacent element also have the same size because it is 1. Okay, it doesn't show differs much. Okay, right now I don't want to change that. And the maximum sizes you get a if you say that my maximum size is 10, whatever the mesh it creates, it doesn't exceed that value. Maximum element you get is at 10 mm. Okay, the minimum value you get whatever it is. And also you will get an additional options like capturing the curvatures proximity. So in our previous version these options are actually coupled in this, but right from 2019 version it will be given as a separate values like capture curvature and capture proximity. What does this means? When I try to enable these options, capture this curvatures to no from yes, again you will get a lot of options like minimum size and curvature normal. So what is that curvature normal? So I actually explained this to you in a couple of minutes ago. When you try to capture a curve, you have a curve like this. I have a element like this. When I draw a normal line to this element like quad element, here also I have a quad element. So whatever the angle I get over here, so in the previous case that angle is a span angle, so which is actually calculated from the center point of the curve. This curve actually have a center point. So when I draw a line from the center point, that is called span angle alpha, but this is curvature angle. So when I draw a center line from this and this, normal, not a center line, it's a normal line, whatever the angle you get, so that is called curvature angle. If you try to reduce the curvature angle, obviously you get a fine meshes over that. If if you try to increase the curvature angle, you get a coarse mesh over there. So ideally alpha and this angle will similarly works, but it has some difference. The calculation method is actually differs. Okay, right now it's set to 70. 70 is a larger angle. If you give 15, what happen? So when I try to give a value of 15, okay, 15 is fine, and I try to mesh it. It actually creates a fine mesh over the curved edges. Whenever you have a curved edges, it actually creates a fine mesh over there. See, you will get a fine mesh nearby this region, but you will get a coarse mesh on the other sides. So whenever you have a curved region, it actually created like this. So if I try to reduce the angle furtherly, again it creates a more and more fine mesh over there. And also you need to provide a minimum element size. So what should be the minimum element size? That should actually created on this region. So that is also very important. Okay, you can reduce that. Right now it's a very minimum value, so that is why I am not changing the value. So I am only changing the normal angle value. Okay, so the curvature, capture the curvature means whenever you have a curvature like fillets or the holes, that is a curved regions, you need a proper mesh over there. You need to enable this option, like turn on the option to S. What is it proximity means? Proximity is this. So you have a fine sharp corners, edges. In edges itself you need a proper mesh. You need to turn on the proximity option. So what happen if I turn on this option to S? You'll get some additional options like proximity, minimum sizes, and number of cells across the gap. It's what does it actually means? I mean, you remember that we have seen the plate with hole problem, right? Let's imagine we have a plate like this and we have two holes like this. This is the proximity gap. So there is a gap between these two holes, right? How much elements I can, how much number of sets of elements I can create? Like 3 sets of elements, 3 layers of elements, like this. 1, 2, and 3. So if you enter the value called 4, it will try to create a 4 segments. If you say 1, it will create only one set of elements between the two sets. That is the gap. Okay, right now it's set to 3. You will observe from here itself also. See, note that there is a 4 sets of elements over here. Here, see, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 sets. So right now it is in 3. What happen if I update the mesh? Right click and say generate mesh. Okay, but due to our sizing factors, it always try to create a 4 sets of elements over here. But if I try to reduce the sizing factor to 5, maybe it creates 3. See, now it creates the 3 sets across the gap. You will notice that 1, 2 and 3. What happened if I change to 2? When I shift over to 2, from the default value to 2, right click and say generate. So software will try to create 2 layers, but due to the sizing of the factor, it may fails. Okay, so this is what actually it means. And also you can give the proximity minimum value to here. So if you furtherly reduces that, you will get a proper mesh over the edges. See, when it is turned on in this sharp corners, you will get a proper mesh. So if it is turned off, there is no proximity, and try to remesh it. Okay, see, you won't get a proper mesh over this region, like sharp edges or sharp corners. So the proximity curvature is for the curvature side. The curvature is for curvatures like fillets and holes. The proximity is only for the edges and sharp corners. Okay, and it's depend upon your usages. So whether you want to capture the feature or else you need to defeature them. So furtherly, if you reduces that, you will get a more and more proper mesh over the region. And up to this point, everything is clear. Up to this point, do you have any doubts up to this point? Still now we only see about that patch conforming method. We don't yet go for the patch independent method. Manoj and John, Raj Balaji.
Done, sir.
Okay, so when I shift over to patch independent to patch conforming, you don't have any options in the local settings. You only have the options in the global setting. When I try to interpret the volume mesh, how can I see the meshes in the volume? So that is the real thing. So when I try to generate the mesh, okay, so actually I have a mesh like this. Go to display. There is an option. Okay, so here you will notice that there is an option called a sectional plane. So when I click on it, yep. So you will notice that there is no proper mesh over the surfaces. See, this is what it actually created in the patch conforming method. What happened if I shift over to patch independent? So every option is similar. So all we need to do here is I just go to the details option and change the patch conforming to patch independent method. So everything is same, and right click and say generate mesh. Okay, so it actually deletes the patch conforming meshes and try to recreate a patch independent method. Okay, see, you will notice that in the previous case you don't have a proper mesh over the volume, but in this case you have a proper mesh in this volume. Like one sec. See, you will have a proper mesh over the volume, just because I have already said that the patch independent method, in patch independent method the mesh is actually started from the volume. Okay, so from the volume it actually propagated to the faces and edges, but in patch conforming method the mesh is actually started from the outer faces and edges, and slow by slow it propagated to the volume. So that is why you are not getting up equal and proper mesh on the volume, but in patch conforming method you will get a proper mesh on the outer surface but not in the volume. Patch independent method you will get a proper mesh in the volume. So just check out these options. Everything is similar, and if you are facing any issue with this size limits and gaps, refinement, everything is same, which is related to the global setting. Okay, that is all about tetrahedral meshing creation method. In our tomorrow session, we will see about that what are the methods to create a hex dominant mesh, and sweep method, and multi-zone also. So up to the session, everything is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.